After starting so late, like at 36, I feel like I'm making up for lost time. So I can't see myself ever being bored because there's just so much to constantly learn. So anytime I'm creating, it's because I just want to try something essentially, or try to do something better. And so why do I create? I think I just have that obsession at this point of just trying to get as much done before I die, because I'm already feeling, that's where the joints started hurting every morning now. So it feels like that timeline is definitive, and I need to get as much done. Again, leave stuff behind like goofy He-Man bootlegs that will live on forever maybe, who knows. All right, so my name is Mark Quintero. My art name is Kindnuggets, and kind of a goofy name. Kind of comes from Monty Python, a Holy Grail joke, kind of goofy thing. But anyways, I'm a veteran teacher of high school English for the last 20 years, and had a midlife crisis and basically started doing art. And as a result of that, I've kind of transitioned into doing English and art as a high school teacher, as well as kind of going crazy and just trying to do all kinds of art for myself, for shows, for like designer toys, trying to do painting, sculpting, just kind of a little bit of everything. At this point, I consider myself a teacher, but kind of still got that imposter syndrome, but I'll call myself like an independent artist, mainly sculptor. I've been doing art since I was about 36. I'm 43 here. So I've loved art as far as comic books, toys, action figures, all that stuff my entire life. I've loved it, I've collected it, I've hoarded it, but again, I never had the confidence to do it. And after a certain point, I guess when you get older, you just stop caring and you're just willing to do more and more things. And that's basically what it was, the trigger. I just kind of wanted to do something else. It wasn't for show, wasn't for any sort of attention. It was just because I kind of wanted to do something. I was bored, and gradually kind of just got obsessed. It was kind of like tapping something in there that was always there that I didn't know, and it just kind of opened it up. Ever since then, I think I literally done art, try to do art every single day since. The type of art that I've created is a lot of like fan art stuff initially, starting off with, and that's kind of how I learned. I painted a lot of stuff that I liked, I repainted a lot of stuff that I liked, but the type of stuff I wanted to make now is kind of my own interpretation of Mesoamerican, Aztec, Mayan type of traditional art. I still want to do the like merging it with like He-Man toys. I want to do everything. I want to make gnomes. I want to make goofy pumpkins. I want to make goofy Halloween stuff. I want to airbrush things. I want to make graffiti art. I want to make just basic figure sculptures. But again, where I want to end up is kind of with that Mesoamerican aesthetic, I guess. So my favorite stuff to work with is clay, like polymer clay, super sculpty stuff, monster clay, things like that I've been using, and that's pretty much what I mainly work with. I love clay, I love getting my hands on it. I do want to eventually learn digital sculpting. When I say eventually, like tomorrow, next week. But as far as traditional stuff, I like feeling things in my hand. I like seeing it, I like the 3D aspect of it. I've collected toys all my life, and I just think having that physical thing in your hand is the deal. So right now, monster clay is what I'm using. I live in California, therefore the weather kind of dictates when I get to use monster clay, because sometimes we get so hot that stuff is super soft, and it's kind of hard to work with. So those kind of days I shift over to polymer clay. But if you're thinking about sculpting, I generally will recommend Super Sculpey, just because it's so available. It's the first thing I ever used, the first sculpt I ever did. Felt like total Play-Doh. I hated it, I didn't like it, but I did another one and it got better, and I did another one and it got better. So every clay's gonna feel difficult, but I think if you just keep going, it's gonna get there. So right now, monster clay, and from there, who knows? I'll try something else when it comes out. As far as influences, comic books, toys, McFarlane toys was one of the first things that really kind of blew my mind. Seeing those sculptures, seeing that detail just was next level. I fell in love with that stuff. I collected it for years. So I'd have to say that is a major influence. Like movies like Labyrinth, seeing like those puppets, seeing those monsters, I fell in love with that stuff too. And Garbage Pail Kids, I remember seeing those and thinking like, this is weird, this is goofy, this is inappropriate. But that also told me that that's what art can be. Art can be goofy, it can be inappropriate, it can be random, weird. And then recently, like in the last 10 years, going to like places like DesignerCon, seeing Sofubi, I didn't know what that word meant the first time I went to DesignerCon. And then just seeing this kind of random, weird, just strange designs, like crazy monsters that don't come from any films, don't come from any shows, nothing. It's just out of nowhere, just comes out of your brain. I love that. And I thought, like, you can just do this stuff and people like it and people want it. And that made me think, like, I can do that too. Crazy stuff, monster stuff. The first time I went to DesignerCon, I met a guy named Ryan B. Soto, and he was sitting there. I talked to him, the guy was super nice. And being around artists like that was super inspiring, because here I am, a brand new artist, kind of walking into this place full of these amazing, brilliant people. And they're all nice, and they're all willing to help you, and they're all willing to kind of give you advice. And in fact, I met him, and then we communicated on Instagram, and then a year later, I had a table at DesignerCon with him. Within a year, like, of me kind of starting this stuff off, artists like that, like Mike FX, artists that are willing to give their time and share, and are willing to help you and figure things out. So like me and Ryan would start molding together, and we're like figuring it out. And again, we're like spending all night sometimes figuring out how to do like this type of mold, this type of mold, and that's the way to learn. Or you gotta mess it up yourself. So the artists that inspire me are basically all that stuff that just flooded my brain as a child. And then right now it's all these like amazing artists that are accessible. And that's the crazy thing about this art world, is that some of these people that are brilliant, that are wonderful, that are fantastic, they'll respond to you. They'll have these workshops where you can just sign up and take them and learn directly from these people. I was always a collector, so I would say I'm a collector probably first. And the reason that I probably save money now and collect less is because I started spending a lot of money on art supplies. I collect, again, comic books. I've had decades and decades and decades of comic books. And then toys. Right now, my collecting right now kind of focuses on just random weird stuff. If I see something and it's weird, I don't know where it's from, that's usually the most appealing thing now. In the past, I've collected Marvel Legends, G.I. Joe, He-Man, huge He-Man fan. I didn't have those toys when I was a kid. My brother had a lot of them, but a lot of those I never even saw until like I began collecting later in life, when you have those pictures available online. And so that inspired me to make a lot of that type of stuff. As a kid, I loved toys. I had toys. I didn't ask for a lot. I didn't want to ask my parents. I saw my dad straight grinding, constantly hustling. I saw my mom grinding, hustling all the time. But I remember every single toy I had. I had that Mad Ball football right there. So the stuff that's probably worth stuff in my collection is probably not really the stuff I care about. But this right here, going to Kmart, looking at the three options, you saw the football, you saw the basketball, you saw the soccer ball, and my mom's like, pick one. And this is the one I got. And on eBay, I've looked at the other ones. I'm gonna get those things. I'm just trying to find a good price on the other ones. I'm gonna get all three of them. But this is the OG, this is the one I had, this is the one I got at Kmart, and this is the one I've kept ever since. It's been displayed in probably every single, like, in my dorm room in college, in my bedroom here, in my garage where I'm in every single day, but this is my girl piece right here. I remember having Lock Lips Mad Ball. I remember having the Dungeons and Dragons Fang playset thing. I don't even know if that was the name of it. I remember having the Rancor. I remember the Gamorrean Guard. Like, those are the ones I had. I had those, and those are the toys I cherished. So I didn't have a lot of toys, but I loved that stuff. I absolutely loved it. And then when I started getting a little bit of a disposable income as an adult, then again, I kind of went a little bit crazier though. But literally my first paychecks, I was buying Power of the Force figures. That was an investment. That's how I paid for this house. Yeah, right, it was worthless, but I loved collecting it. I loved like going to those stores. I loved buying all that stuff. And then I sold it for like 30 bucks, like 20 years later, when I was trying to, again, like do something to my car or something like that. But the point was, I love the hunt, and I still do it. And every time I kind of go to Target, I'm always gonna walk through those aisles, every single time. At this point, I'm not done, but that boy right there, that guy right there, is probably gonna be the piece that I'm gonna be most proud of. It's gonna be the proudest, because that is literally the longest I've ever spent on a sculpture. That's mine. I'm kind of everything there is just coming straight from my brain. I like to design things on paper, but that never works out. I just kind of go and figure it out as I sculpt. It's gonna take me a while. It's probably gonna take me the rest of this year because I promised myself I'm gonna work on it every single day. When it's done, I hope it's something I'm super proud of, but if it's not, I'm gonna be proud of the fact that I challenged myself, or I forced myself to go huge. I have to learn how to mold that thing because that's a different type of mold than what I've done. And then when I'm done with that, I'm gonna have to learn how to paint at that scale because I haven't done that yet. And then again, I don't have any plans to sell that. If somebody's interested, yeah, sure, I would, but that's for me. Like that's something that I need to finish because as an artist, that's one of those things that it's gonna be that milestone. That's gonna be how I track my progress. Yes, I sell my work. So I do sell things. I used to sell kind of more because I kind of felt like I had to rationalize the amount of time I was spending on doing art. I sell it at DesignerCon, if you're familiar with that show. Monsterpalooza, I sell at Monsterpalooza as well. And then I basically go off of Instagram. I have a web store that I occasionally populate, but usually it's just like Instagram and then these shows. I love selling in person. I love kind of that interaction. But the kind of stuff I sell, I've done kind of white cell sculptures. I've done more just kind of smaller sculptures. Resin casts, I paint, I sculpt, I mold, I cast. I pretty much do all of it. So when I sell stuff, it's all made literally in here. So sculptures, magnets, resin, painted stuff. So I guess my end goal is just to get as good as I possibly can. I enjoy the journey. I enjoy the drilling, the practice, the gradual, slow progress, but as long as I'm seeing it there, that's what makes me happy, and that's kind of the goal. Sometimes I hate the fact that I'm never satisfied with some of the work, but at the same time, that's what keeps me honest about, hey, this thing is not popular, nobody cares. Because nobody cares because it's not that good. So you got to make it better, and that's kind of one of those things. It's just, if people care, that's great. Sometimes they don't, oftentimes they do. So that's not the goal. Ultimately is just getting better at what I'm doing. That's it.